Please welcome Koshiyama, Robert, Victoria, and Leona Hioki.
Hello, Eve Tokyo. How is the energy? Hard? Hungry? Digestion kicking in? Okay, so I guess digestion kicking in. But we're talking about something really interesting now. Some of you might have attended the earlier panel an hour ago, roughly, where it was about the product market fit for privacy. And anybody here was part of the panel? Listening in? No? Good. So we continue a little bit the discussion, but we are going to giving it another edge because our panel is about from privacy to yield generation. And I'm Victoria. I'm the operations lead and co-founder of Switzerland. We are accelerating DIAC builders, and privacy is a main element in the DIAC tech stack. And I'm here with three amazing panelists. To my right, Kyle, and to my left, Robert and Leona. And yeah, I'm really excited to start this very, very fun topic, because the big question is, you know, sometimes we are talking about, where do I have it? We think about privacy as a human right, and we're talking about it on a more philosophical scale. But here we decided on a panel where we say, like, do you really think that privacy has really shifted from being a cost to being a profit-making opportunity? And maybe you, Robert, you want to give it the first talk and also quickly introduce yourself and what you do. And
yeah, thank you. Hi, I'm Robert from Weppy Privacy, and my stance is in terms of yield generation on data. As a privacy organization, we always recommend to not put your data anywhere, let's say, to start with. But if you are, then at least do it in a private manner, let's say. Yeah, so whether to look at it from, is it a profit-generating opportunity? I would say yes, but the question is, the incentives that drove towards this opportunity are actually what's wrong in society, in my perspective. The fact that I have an opportunity to share my data and capitalize on it in a private manner, because the alternative is that it's being taken from me and I get nothing, is still not the ideal situation, let's say. And to make privacy a default option when choosing for a product or service is, in my eyes, dependent on awareness. There's two ways to interpret this, and one is, if you're talking about yield generation in the literal form, is okay, will this private product give me a better ROI in terms of comparison with other financial products, for instance? Which actually, because of his talk yesterday with Alan from Railgun as well, who was here on an earlier panel, the question that Vitalik posed was, okay, why are you not putting more money into private pools at Railgun? So any visitor who wouldn't have interacted with Railgun before would then have the question, okay, why would I? What would be the benefit of that? So as a test, I just threw it into 3 AI engines. Is it okay? What is the ROI for me to use our Railgun privacy pools? And neither ChatGPT or Grok or Gemini could give me a definitive answer, because if I'm looking for specifically for yield generation as in maximization, I just am looking for a range of percentages so I can weigh it versus other alternatives, let's say. And it couldn't give me an indication for that. That's if you look at the yield generation in pure financial terms, let's say. On the other hand, I think there's another angle, and that's if you're talking yield generation in terms of societal productivity and effectiveness. And the shift towards a society with full oversight, including blockchain. If you don't have, let's say, products to work with that, means that from what I showed in my deck yesterday, and I'll give the word after to others, is that a state of continuous surveillance lead to, let's say, a decrease in productivity, because it's something you'll have to pay attention to, and you have to work around it or work with it. I'm dating myself here now, but I can remember, for instance, the difference between going to a house party with no phones, because there were no smartphones, or one today, let's say. And it's a different state of being for visitors. And it's a different state of being when you're browsing or when you are sending information or interacting with a platform and you know that you're going to be categorized and your data is immediately resold. And that sense, I think in your country we call it unheimlich, is something which affects us all, either in personal matters but also in work, and also affects companies in some sense, because they have to take additional measures. And that's why I'm glad that initiatives like INTMAX are there to provide a different angle. Yeah.
Maybe that's a good segue to Leona. So, Leona, you're the co-founder, like the founder of INTMAX. And since Robert just spoke also about like some of the incentives might not be right, can you share with us a little bit, now that you're live on mainnet, and how users have been responding, and which use cases do you see emerge because of, like, you know, the baked-in privacy first and also low fees?
So yeah, basically I'm doing INTMAX right now we are having privacy mining, which is incentivizing to joining the privacy pool together. Yeah, you know, guys, if you deposit 1 Ether to our pool and they withdraw 1 Ether from our pool, it will be incentivized by new generated token. This is the privacy mining, and it's make a win-win situation where we can make our privacy together. So you can, if you are the only one person depositing your Ether, your privacy will be completely revealed in some day. But yeah, if we can deposit Ether together, we can make a greater number of privacy. And I'm super obsessed with the concept of purity of privacy. Basically, purity of privacy means that we need more bigger anonymity set to have our unbreakable privacy, and they constantly are not time concentrated. At the same time, we need various type of people in the pool, simply because if you use our protocol, and it reveals that you are some kind of people like privacy maxi or something like that, it's not so good for privacy. So hiding the user type information is also our kind of scope of the job. So basically, in terms of that, we are hiding that kind of personality information. So yeah, this is what we are doing as our obsession of purity of privacy. So incentivization is quite needed, simply because it's sometimes if we have a limited coordination, we can make a win-win situation. And the privacy is quite easy to make that, actually, because privacy is just information which is not revealed. And if we can hide ourselves in some ways, we don't have to pay so much money to gain the privacy, right? So if $1 or the $1 or something like that can make this coordination as well, because having the privacy and the reward at the same time, it makes a lot of sense for users, in my opinion. And this is a collaboration we need to make in a privacy space. And privacy is almost, as you ask him, privacy, I don't think privacy is super commercialized now still, because the privacy space is one of the super a niche and core space in crypto, and it's still going with ideologies instead of market, basically. And so I don't think that everything turned out to be like commercialized still, and someday it will be, but still not. It's not entirely commercialized. But the next step of the privacy, it's basically incentivization. So age before this, people joined in the privacy space without any kind of incentivization, and it was good days. But right now, everything's incentivized in crypto space, right? No, so much airdrops, so much minings, and so much, any kind of way to give money to the users and audience these recent days. And up to that, people shifting to make another kind of type of culture, I admit so. And maybe after this, we have our complete product market fit driven privacy space. But yeah, it will be like 3 or 5 years, I guess, and something like that.
Thank you. So, Kyle, what is your take? Is privacy still a decision about costs? Because often, and also something that Vitalik yesterday said at the Web3 Privacy event, that one of the main reasons why people are not opting into privacy is costs, or do you already see it as an opportunity for profit?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like high level, for the most part, privacy. I'm not trying to say it's like a lot of it's like LARPing, but like it's too idealistic in some sense, where it's like it's a human right. It should be optional. It shouldn't be optional. It should not be opt-in. Because like at the end of the day, I think like if you take a step back, if you want people to use it, like Leona was saying about the anonymity set, right? You have more noise. Theoretically, it's more protected. You can do more things. I think at the end, like it's like crypto. Why are people really here? People want life-changing money. They want to be able to get a boat or some shit. So it's like you got to give the people kind of what they want, right? Like what's found like quote-unquote product market fit. It's like obfuscation. Maybe you don't want the government to have to take something. I don't know. Maybe you don't believe like the child support payments are adequate or fair or something, and you fight the system the way you can. And so I think that the opt-in, like, yeah, Vitalik did have a good point, right, where it's like, or someone was saying yesterday at the thing where it was like the opportunity cost of having the deposit, I think is also very valid. Because if you try to make everything like privacy mandatory, you run into the option where it's like if you're using ZK, maybe the proof over generation overhead is too high. If you're trying to do something like more on-chain, it can also lead to higher gas or computational units, whatever. I think also in terms of, for the most part, when people talk about privacy, usually they're not talking about confidentiality. It's mostly like anonymity. Anonymity. God, I can't talk. But it's usually like trying to obfuscate like maybe the linkage between two EOAs, right? Like the withdrawal. I think one of the issues with this is that if you're withdrawing from plain text to, again, it comes down to the anonymity set. So like maybe trying to withdraw to something that's like confidential could kind of solve some of the opportunity, or I don't want to say solve, but could help mitigate some of the, again, opportunity costs people have, where they could be staking something else. They miss out on a yield because now they have to have it in this thing where it's shielded in some sense, but then it comes at a cost. So I do think that in terms of the cost to the consumer, if you want to like find PMF, because I know people talk about UX, but like generally like the UX, if your UX is just shit already, that's just like a problem, right? Like that should, like in general, you should just have a usable UX, but I think beyond UX, it should be the financial incentives is the primary thing. So I think if you want to get users to use something that's private, they probably need to have some sort of benefit. So if you're trying to use, for example, right, if you're trying to do like a swap on a classic like AMM, right, a lot of times if people are sandwiching or doing something, or you have a system where it's stake weighted for the leadership schedule, and then from there you can essentially run whatever shit you want to do to like steal money from people to grift. If you can theoretically, for example, if you were able to constrain slippage, right, so that the leadership schedule didn't really matter as much, then you could kind of forward some of the profits that would go from the MEV searchers to the LPs, which would be yield incentive. Once you get like the yield incentive up, then secondary issues such as cost, anonymity set stuff kind of comes down. So, in my opinion, I think it, like, I kind of think that's why, in some way, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons, but I think, you know, it's one of those common things where it's like, oh, we're gonna like onboard the fucking institutions or some shit. Like, they're not gonna like be here unless it's like confidential, but it's like, or and whatnot. But I think a lot of it's LARP, right? Like, people say things, people try to, I don't know, for whatever agenda they want, for whatever. But I think at the end of the day, you just gotta get people more money. Like, you know, people just trying to gamble, people trying to do shit. So. I kind of think that's sort of the next evolution of privacy in terms of relevancy, because I guess, or the concern is people just keep, I guess, like circle jerking.
I would compare it in the sense of the cost of opportunity, and what you mentioned is that an analogy I sometimes make is that privacy in this sense is similar to buying biological food. As in, you can find it in supermarkets and usually has a seal of approval that it has a certain rate of how it was raised, non-GMO, etc., or free-range animals, for instance, or unaffected plants. But the choice still is okay. People know it might be better for them in terms of health, but it's a distant cost, and it takes more time to actually find out which ones are actually available. And I think that's, in terms of, like I mentioned, awareness, a big step we can take. Like, you have no privacy without security, so audit firms do a lot already with their reports, but they don't test for these specific factors. They test more, you know, about the functionality. With Weppy Privacy, not to tout our own horn, of course, but we try to bring that a little bit into market with the Explorer, our L2Beat for privacy, to index as many privacy projects as possible. If yours is not on there, submit for extra exposure. But I'll not chill. But the problem is there's no standards. If it would become easily identifiable, okay, I know if I'm going to use this application that I'm exposed to X, Y, Z. Because the majority of users, as mentioned in the previous panel, has no idea that if you use MetaMask that you're using an RPC from Insura, etc., etc. I think that's a thing where to start first. Yeah, and also the commercial appreciation for that is not there yet. There are no ETFs for privacy projects. Maybe there should be.
That's actually something I thank you so much for the leeway to my next question. I loved it. And so the privacy space, there is no one privacy space, right? So there are the individual users, there are the privacy space for companies, and it's quite fragmented. Is the argument of let's focus a little bit on privacy and the profitability of privacy something that could bring the space closer together, or is it something that anyways, like it's always these two worlds, privacy for corporations versus privacy for individuals?
I think that right now, privacy is like, one of the feature, one of the selling point of each product. For example, if you don't have a privacy in your browser, for example, Google, and Brave browser have a privacy window, maybe you move to Brave, right, for example. So it's a, privacy is like, opt-in or not kind of main selling point of the product right now. And the, even if Monero, even if, the Phoenix or, INTMAX, it doesn't matter. Privacy, it's kind of one of the built-in feature of the functionality, like, in INTMAX it's payments, and in Aztec it's like a smart contract functionality, right? So privacy is like, on top of that, and it's one of the feature, and people don't think that they are paying for that directly, but actually it's like, paying additional money to the set of the functionalities as a product. It's like a packaged product, right? So we can see the same thing for Apple's, for example. Apple have a more better security setting than Android, most of cases. And So I prefer Apple because one of the reason is because of the privacy. At the same time, they have a completely different functionalities, right? So in that sense, it's one of the selling point, one of the features. But yeah, privacy itself doesn't have a the let's say market fit directly. So it's one of the color of the product. I admit so, and yeah. Anyway, we can see that the direct privacy demand by seeing Tornado Cash or the product only providing privacy, and if we can see them thriving. Privacy is just having privacy has a product market fit right now. On the other hand, if you see many products with privacy thriving, with the other functionalities, it's a more complex competition in the market, and it's not only the enterprise effort, but also the circumstances to set them as privacy-friendly products.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't know if we should keep marketing things as like private, just because like, I don't know, I feel like it's just so saturated. It's like global warming or like end-to-end encryption. It's been LARPed to death, and now it's just like what people hear it. It's just what it is. What it is. But yeah, I mean, yeah, in the sense that like privacy itself isn't like really like a PMF feature, right? Because like right now it's mostly anonymity. That's the thing that's like, if you look at like DeFi Llama, example, like what's getting yield? It's like Tornado Cash, maybe Railgun. But a lot of times, like if you're just trying to like, let's say you don't want to have to pay taxes for some shit, and that's like, maybe that's 20% off the top, right? So, but in theory, like if you have a fiat on ramp, it kind of defeats the purpose already. And if you're generating that yield on chain, then like if it was already, for example, like from a clean EOA, then like what was the point? You don't necessarily need to wash it. Because I think one of the things holding back the privacy space in blockchain is like there's a lack of like composable confidentiality. Kind of like Robert was saying about the lack of the standards. I think Ethereum's, I guess in some ways it's tough because like there's not really like an enshrined example of like specifically like whatever ERC20. For example, like a bunch of different like FHE companies are trying to like have their own. I guess they're all like trying to compete for like. Open Zeppelin's hand for whatever of like, the composable nature of this token that maybe gets wrapped, gets this yield underneath, and then you can, not Ponzi it, but, just move it around and like get some sort of other yield. So I think from there, it's kind of just like, I mean, I would assume that there'd probably just be some de facto standard that would eventually just get picked up because people would realize the network effects of like, oh, we can like, we can network effect, not grift, but like, generate yield off of chain yield, I suppose, from something. So I think in terms of that, right, this is one thing, right? But then trying to offer products that you are just trying to figure out what people want, right? Because if people are trying to hide money from the government or some authority or someone who maybe will hack them, even if it's not like some central thing, I think you kind of don't want to be traced, right? So, and the issue with just having like, classic privacy pools where you're able to withdraw from a plain text balance, it limits the like amount of complexity you can do because even if you're able to like extend it to more specific nuances, like or specific applications, right? Like a specific DeFi functionality, like call it like a wrap swap or something, or like some sort of NFT distribution, governance distribution, right? Like you theoretically could reverse engineer someone's position and then dog them. So I just think there has to be more like actual usability of the products, or else it's just kind of more, another year goes by, so we're just more like circle jerk.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience? If yes, raise your hand and I will repeat it so that it's on the recording.
I'd like to add to that question actually that because you mentioned two worlds for consumers and businesses. So like data leaks are binary. It's out there or not. I usually compare it to a pregnancy. It's you're pregnant or you're not, basically. There's no state in between. The privacy itself, because it's such a broad container term, is on a spectrum. And on one end is companies, and it's a compliant side, let's say, which provides the opt-in, and the other side, it is the overused example of the journalist or freedom fighter or whatever in critical areas. And we need those fringe areas where privacy means the difference in life or death. Because even though if they're uncompliant, it's that where technology gets developed for the biggest purpose and eventually trickles down into everyday life, into applications mainstream will use, and eventually are adopted by business and adjusted for whatever that compliancy requires. So you'll have projects and changes I met with Coty, for instance, where they do shielding of transactions specifically, but no anonymization. So because there's still a compliancy side to it. And there's on the other end of the spectrum, you have things like Monero. And we do need that. So I think even if there's no incentive there directly in terms of yield generation, there has to be some money stream that way to continue to support. And similar to how the question has been about, okay, how do we expect Ethereum to have a revenue stream to continue support after the, well, recently we discussed 4 years of runway, but it could be more at the moment. There's a lot of business making money off this network, as an example. Why aren't they putting the money in? Why isn't a Tether or Circle or any other millions, if not billions valued company by now putting a portion of their revenue into the network which is feeding them their wealth, let's say? I think that's and it's similar to privacy project. I think we should allocate as a community to that, or at least as a sector. Yeah.
There is a question back here. Yeah. Yes.
What's the biggest issue we will have if we put a privacy on blockchain? While blockchain's one of the biggest advantages, like its transparency. Because if we put privacy, it's not transparent at all.
I want to answer to that question because I truly believe that the benefit of blockchain, it's not transparency, it's verifiability. So transparency is like just one method to achieve verifiability, and the final goal is making verify that, right? Verify the soundness of money, verify the nothing is faked, and this high security. This is the goal. I don't think that transparency is a kind of absolute or the goal that we are heading for. So if we can verify with cryptography, privacy is kind of basically it doesn't make a problem. Does this answer to your question?
So maybe I was wrong that I used the term transparency. So let's say verifiability. But so like if it's confidential, like private, then we cannot see like general users or like people cannot really see like whether it's really verified or like even the credibility of the verification. If it's private, then like what's the point of having the privacy while blockchains is supposed to be like open to everybody because like it's private. So like we can really see. Maybe this is technical, so I could be wrong. But like if it's private, then like if verification is private as well, then I don't think I think it's kind of against the fundamental of like blockchain, which is like verifiable in public.
Why? Why can't you just verify what happened? It just happened privately. Like you can also run like. You could run a proof or like some sort of assessment on top of like, for example, if they're composable ciphertexts, you can run some sort of like a quality check, for example, or what essentially would be like a range proof, for example, and then you could just decrypt the value if you want it to just be like conditional, like if it's just 0 or 1, if it followed what it was, or anything.
In that case,
I'm sorry, I'm getting a signal that we have to slowly wrap up. So can you keep it short to your next reaction?
All right. So if we put like privacy on blockchain, is it going to be like centralized rather than like decentralized, which is like blockchain's kind of concept. So I feel like if it's private, there's somehow always that controls the privacy, which kind of make blockchain not like decentralized, which is kind of against the blockchain's concept itself, in my opinion.
I don't believe there are incentives to or initiatives to have a centrally controlled organ provide privacy to chains. I believe actually the goal is from EF to make the L1 more private natively. Yeah.
Oh, now there are questions coming. It's so bad. We unfortunately only have like 2 minutes left. So I'm like, can you ask it very quickly and then we let Leona come back for a quick wrap up?
Are you guys maxis on any particular method to achieve privacy, such as MPC, ZK, or FHE, or do you believe in multiple approaches?
I think probably a combination of multiple stuff makes sense. Like, I think, you know, sometimes people conflate ZK with like verification, but generally, I mean, that is the ideal way to be verifying. But, you know, things like FHE, the computational overhead for verifying with like a validity proof is just infeasible. You know, some people would say that there's like, you know, anonymity stuff is probably good to use with ZK. If you need to verify client-side encryption, I guess you could use ZK. For the composable state stuff, maybe like FHE, depending on overhead trade-offs. And then I guess if you're distributing the client key, you'd probably have to use MPC for now until we can like live in the future and there's like IO, I guess.
Okay. Wow. This 30 minutes went on like really fast. So just to thank you for like going all the way up there, doing a little bit of movement from the panel. I loved it. And really appreciated all the questions. Let's definitely continue the conversation outside. So to wrap this up, like if you guys had a magic wand, so getting a little bit into the Harry Potter game here, what would you wish for the privacy space, and what is one thing you, your project, or you would also ask the participants listening in here to bring us closer to, you know, brighter privacy first future? Very short, because
I guess personally, I would like to push my agenda to the point where like I can leverage this to, you know, get into the next whatever arc of life, and then just you know, use it to corner the data wars, and then maybe get like waifus.
When Microsoft took over GitHub, my team forced me to move to GitLab with everything. Fair. When Meta took over WhatsApp, people migrated to either Telegram and Signal, saw a big rise. So I think we'll need triggers like that to further privacy, to create the awareness.
I want you guys to join privacy mining. You know, you can get privacy for your own user. At the same time, you get the reward. I think no, you have nothing to lose, only gas fee. And no, you can get both. I think it's good. And let's make a greater privacy together. And yeah, that's the message from me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I guess we, I hope you guys don't have plans, so let's then all walk outside over there, because to at least answer the 2 questions that we didn't get to answer right now. And thank you very much. And yeah, it was fun.